Imagine braving the harshest winter nights without the luxuries we often take for granted today. No electric heaters, no insulated blankets, and certainly no warm indoor spaces. Yet indigenous tribes around the world have mastered the art of survival in the coldest climates, using methods passed down through generations. From ingenious clothing to clever fire-starting techniques, here are the 20 ways these incredible communities survive the brutal cold. 1. Fire maintenance. The heart of any cold weather camp is the ever-burning fire that gives both light and life to the people gathered around it. Indigenous tribes know that letting a fire die during freezing nights could mean the difference between survival and disaster. That's why many tribes set up a rotation system where someone is always awake to tend the flames, adding wood throughout the night when temperatures drop lowest. The firekeeper holds one of the most important jobs in the community during winter months, as everyone's comfort and safety depends on their vigilance. The fire isn't just placed anywhere or built without thought. Tribes carefully select the right wood that burns longest, often mixing quick-burning kindling with dense logs that can smoulder for hours. They build stone circles that hold heat and reflect it back toward the people, and position the fire in the center of their living space so warmth spreads evenly. In many tribes, children learn fire tending skills from a young age, understanding how to coax flames from nearly dead embers and how to build a fire that will last through the night. The dancing flames become both a practical tool and a gathering point that strengthens community bonds during the harshest season. 2. Animal skins and fur. When the snow piles high and wind cuts like a knife, indigenous people wrap themselves in nature's own insulation, animal skins and furs. These natural materials work better than anything modern science has created, with hollow hair fibers that trap body heat close to the skin while keeping cold air out. Bears, deer, buffalo, rabbits and wolves all provide different types of warmth, and skilled hunters use every part of these animals with deep respect. What looks like simple clothing actually involves layers with different purposes. Soft inner layers against the skin, middle insulating layers, and tough outer shells that block wind and moisture. The knowledge of how to prepare these materials passes down through generations. Hunters know which animals have the warmest fur for which weather conditions. Women who prepare the hides develop special techniques, scraping, smoking, chewing, and stretching skins until they become soft and pliable. They stitch pieces together using sinew thread and bone needles, creating seams that won't let cold air slip through. The resulting parkas, mittens, boots, and leggings aren't just practical. They often carry beautiful decorations that tell stories or mark the wearer's tribe and family. These clothes connect people both to their community and to the animals that help them survive. 3. Earth shelters. When bitter winds howl across open land, indigenous tribes often look downward for protection, building homes partially sunk into the earth itself. These semi-subterranean dwellings use a simple but powerful natural fact. Underground, temperatures stay much more stable than air temperatures. By digging down several feet and covering the structure with earth, people create spaces that stay warmer in winter and cooler in summer. The earth becomes a natural blanket holding heat inside when the world above turns frigid and white. Pit houses, as many are called, have been built by tribes across North America, from the Paiute in the Great Basin to the Inuit of the Arctic. The design varies by region, but follows similar principles. A hole dug into the ground, a wooden frame built inside, and coverings of bark, sod, animal skins or snow packed over the top. A small entrance tunnel might slope downward, trapping cold air before it can enter the main living space. Inside, a central fire pit provides heat that circulates throughout the single room, where extended families live together through the winter months. These humble homes might not look impressive from outside, but they shelter life when nothing seems able to survive above ground. 4. Stone or clay heaters. Long before electric blankets or hot water bottles, indigenous people mastered the art of storing heat in stone and clay. Rocks placed near the fire absorb warmth slowly throughout the day and evening. When bedtime comes, these heated stones are wrapped in animal skins or plant fibres and tucked into bedding, where they radiate gentle warmth for hours. Some tribes create special stone arrangements where people can place their feet while sitting, keeping extremities warm even when the air turns bitter cold. Clay pots serve a similar purpose in some communities, especially those with pottery traditions. People fill these vessels with hot coals or stones, creating portable heaters that can be moved where needed or placed under sleeping platforms. The beauty of this method is its simplicity. No fuel is wasted as the stones store heat that would otherwise escape into the air. Children and elders, who feel cold most keenly, benefit especially from these warm companions through the long, dark nights. Some tribes even develop special stone shapes or arrangements that hold heat longer or distribute it more evenly, showing how deeply they've studied the properties of different materials. 5. Tight sleeping circles. When darkness falls and the last activities of the day wrap up, indigenous families don't spread out in separate rooms or beds. Instead, they create tight sleeping circles where everyone benefits from shared warmth. Bodies naturally generate heat, and the wisdom of sleeping close together harnesses this free, renewable resource. In many tribes, family members arrange themselves with the youngest children in the middle, where they stay warmest, and adults forming protective rings around them. This arrangement isn't just practical, it strengthens family bonds and provides comfort during the scariest season. Many indigenous communities welcome their animal partners into these sleeping arrangements too. Dogs that help with hunting during the day become living heaters at night, curling up alongside their human companions. In some cultures, like those of the Arctic regions, specially bred dogs sleep on top of people, providing a living blanket of fur. Far from being just pets, these animals become essential members of the winter survival team. The sleeping circle often becomes a time for quiet stories, teaching moments, and strengthening community ties, making it both a physical and social warming strategy during the coldest months of the year. 6. Insulated dwellings. Indigenous builders have always understood that walls alone don't keep people warm. It's what goes into those walls that matters. Across different landscapes, tribes developed housing styles perfectly suited to their local conditions, all sharing one crucial feature: thick insulating materials that trap precious heat inside. In the snowy Arctic, Inuit people build igloos where snow itself becomes the insulator, with blocks stacked in a spiral pattern that's both strong and heat efficient. The Mongol yurt uses layers of wool felt that capture air between fibres. Eastern woodland tribes cover their longhouses with overlapping bark sheets that shed water while holding warmth. These dwellings aren't just thrown together, they represent centuries of careful observation and improvement. Many feature double wall construction with insulating materials packed between inner and outer surfaces. Natural materials like grass, moss, animal hair, or feathers fill these spaces, working just like modern fiberglass insulation. Most indigenous winter homes also have few windows or small entrances, often with covering flaps or double door systems that prevent heat from escaping when people come and go. Inside, living spaces might be divided with hanging skins or woven mats, creating smaller areas that warm up quickly and hold heat better than large open rooms. 7. Layered bedding. The difference between restful sleep and a shivering, miserable night often comes down to what's underneath you when you lie down. Indigenous people master the art of creating beds that insulate sleepers from the cold ground, which pulls heat from the body faster than cold air. Their beds start with a foundation layer that creates space between people and the earth. Spruce boughs, cattail fluff, dry grasses, or woven mats depending on what's available. This base layer gets refreshed regularly to keep it springy and effective. On top of this foundation comes the real magic: multiple layers of carefully prepared materials, each serving a purpose. Softer furs might lie directly against the body, while tougher hides form outer layers that block drafts. Some tribes create sleeping bags by sewing animal skins together, with the fur facing inward for maximum warmth. Others develop robes that wrap around sleepers and can be adjusted as the night's temperature changes. Many beds include special foot coverings or extra insulation where body heat escapes most quickly. Together, these layered systems create micro-environments where people can rest comfortably, even when temperatures outside drop far below freezing. 8. Wind barriers. Wind makes cold weather truly dangerous, cutting through clothing and stealing body heat much faster than still air. Indigenous communities fight this invisible enemy by designing strategic barriers that redirect or block the wind's path before it reaches their homes. In open plains, tribes might build walls of packed snow, stones, or woven brush several feet from their dwellings, creating protected pockets where still air can warm up. These windbreaks don't need to be solid. Even partial barriers that filter and slow the wind can make a dramatic difference in comfort and safety. The placement of these barriers shows a deep understanding of local weather patterns. Northern tribes often build curved walls that direct howling Arctic blasts away from doorways and gathering spaces. Forest-dwelling people might clear areas on the protected side of natural features like rock outcroppings or dense stands of evergreens. Some communities dig shallow trenches around winter camps, where cold air, which is heavier than warm air, collects instead of flowing through living spaces. By working with nature rather than against it, these wind management systems help people survive in places where exposed skin can freeze in minutes. 9. Winter-only structures. As leaves begin to fall and the first frosts appear, many indigenous tribes start a seasonal transition, moving from their summer homes to special winter dwellings designed specifically for cold weather living. These winter-only structures are often smaller, with lower ceilings that keep heat close to the floor where people sit and sleep. While summer homes might feature open sides for ventilation or raised platforms to catch breezes, winter homes do the opposite, minimizing openings and creating spaces where every bit of heat from bodies, cooking and fires stays trapped inside. The difference between summer and winter homes shows how deeply Indigenous builders understand the changing needs of different seasons. Winter homes often feature interior layouts centered around a single heat source, with sleeping platforms arranged to catch rising warm air. Many include small antechambers or entrance tunnels that prevent drafts and cold air from rushing in when someone enters. Some tribes even build winter homes they can dismantle and rebuild as needed, moving to follow game animals or to find better protection as winter progresses. The temporary nature of these structures doesn't make them crude. They represent sophisticated engineering, using available materials to solve the life or death challenge of winter survival. 10. Strategic location. Long before weather forecasting technology, Indigenous people learned to read the landscape for clues about where to place their winter camps. They seek out valleys and low areas protected from prevailing winds, south-facing slopes that catch the maximum sunlight during short winter days, and places near unfrozen water sources. Many tribes return to the same winter camps year after year, having tested these locations through generations and found them ideal for cold weather survival. These chosen spots often balance multiple needs: protection from elements, access to essential resources, and proximity to winter food sources. The knowledge behind these location choices blends practical concerns with deep observation of nature's patterns. Forest edge locations, provide both building materials and windbreaks. Areas with certain types of trees might signal good hunting grounds for winter game. Some tribes choose spots near hot springs that provide not just warmth, but also opportunities for healing baths during months when illness threatens most. Moving between summer and winter territories isn't just about following food sources. It's about placing people in the exact microclimate where they will have the best chance of thriving through the hardest season. This strategic placement, combined with the other techniques described above, creates a complete system where generations have survived and even found joy in landscapes that might seem impossibly harsh to outsiders. 11. Hot stones in water. When the cold gets deep into your bones, nothing warms you up like a hot drink. Indigenous tribes mastered a simple but clever way to heat water without metal pots that could be placed directly on fire. They would find smooth, non-porous rocks, often river stones that wouldn't crack under heat, and place them directly in the fire until they glowed hot. Using wooden tongs or sticks, they would then carefully lift these stones and drop them into containers of water. The water would immediately begin to bubble and steam, quickly reaching temperatures hot enough for teas, broths, and medicinal drinks that warmed people from the inside out. Some tribes had special stone selections, knowing which types heated best without breaking and which held heat longest. The hot stone method did more than just make warm drinks. In many lodges and homes, large containers of water with hot stones placed inside created a gentle steam that warmed the air and added much-needed moisture during dry winter months. This moisture helped people breathe easier and prevented the cracked skin and painful breathing that comes with dry winter air. Some tribes placed these steaming water containers near sleeping areas, creating a simple form of radiant heating that lasted for hours as the stones slowly cooled. The same stones could be reheated day after day, serving the community through entire winters. The hissing sound of water meeting hot stone became one of winter's comforting sounds. Signalling warmth was on its way when people needed it most. 12. Fat-rich diets. When winter winds blow and temperatures drop, Indigenous people turn to nature's own internal heating system, foods rich in animal and plant fats. Their winter diets change dramatically from summer eating, focusing on the parts of animals with the highest fat content, like marrow, organ meats, and fat deposits found under the skin. Hunters specifically target animals when they're at their fattest, just before winter sets in. Fish with naturally oily flesh, nuts high in natural oils, and seeds all become precious winter resources. These foods aren't just filling, they literally fuel the body's furnace, providing nearly twice the calories of proteins or carbohydrates and helping maintain the higher metabolism needed to generate body heat in cold conditions. The preparation of these fat-rich foods becomes a special winter activity. Many tribes render animal fats into oils and pemmican, a mixture of dried meat, fat, and sometimes berries that provides a perfect winter food that won't spoil. Others create special dishes where fat isn't just an ingredient, but the star, like strips of fat that can be chewed slowly, releasing energy over hours. Some tribes even make special winter treats by mixing rendered fat with dried berries or honey, creating high-calorie foods that bring both nutrition and pleasure during the coldest months. Elders teach younger members how to recognize the signs of not getting enough fat in winter: fatigue, constant cold feelings, and even mood changes, and make sure everyone gets their share of these precious warming foods, especially children and older people who feel the cold most strongly. 13. Smoke holes and chimneys. A fire inside your home brings life-saving warmth, but it also brings smoke that can sting eyes, harm lungs, and eventually drive you back into the deadly cold. Indigenous builders solved this tricky problem through carefully designed smoke holes and early chimney systems that let smoke escape while keeping precious heat inside. Unlike simple holes in the roof, These openings often include covers or flaps that can be adjusted depending on wind direction, outside temperature or time of day. Many designs feature narrow openings that create a draft-pulling smoke upward while minimising the amount of warm air that escapes. The position of these holes matters too, placed directly above the fire to catch rising smoke before it spreads throughout the living space. The most clever smoke systems do double duty, working as both ventilation and temperature control. In many lodges, the smoke hole cover attaches to a long pole that extends down into the living space, allowing someone to adjust the opening without going outside into the cold. Some tribes build cone-shaped or angled chimney extensions that direct smoke away from the dwelling, while creating less heat loss than a straight opening would. Others design their entire home shape around optimal smoke flow, with domed or peaked ceilings that naturally channel smoke toward the opening. In the coldest weather, families might partially close these openings, accepting a bit more smokiness in exchange for crucial extra warmth. 14. Portable heating items. When you can't stay by the main fire, Indigenous people found ways to bring the warmth with them. Portable heating tools became essential technology for winter survival, allowing hunters to travel farther, children to stay warm while playing, and everyone to move around their winter territory more safely. The simplest form involves special containers, often made from hollowed soapstone or clay, that hold hot coals or stones and can be carried from place to place. These containers feature handles wrapped with leather or plant fibres to protect hands from the heat, and small holes or vents that allow just enough airflow to keep the coals glowing without letting them flame up dangerously. More personal heating items include stone or clay discs heated in the fire, then wrapped in layers of fur or hide and tucked into clothing, against the chest, small of the back, or between layers at the stomach. These body-warmed spots help keep blood warm as it circulates throughout the body. For sleeping away from home, some tribes mastered the art of carrying fire itself, using slow-burning materials like certain fungi, dense pine cones treated with resin, or tightly wrapped bundles of bark that could smoulder for hours. Special bedroll designs include pockets where these heating elements can safely warm the sleeper without risk of burns or fire. These portable heating methods don't just provide physical comfort, they extend the range of winter activities possible for communities, allowing hunting trips, visiting between settlements, and gathering of winter plants that would otherwise be too dangerous in freezing conditions. 15. Body grease or oils. In the coldest places on Earth, Indigenous people discovered that clothing alone wasn't enough to keep deadly cold at bay. They developed a critical extra layer of protection by applying rendered animal fats and oils directly to their skin. This practice, which might seem strange today, creates an invisible barrier that both insulates and waterproofs the body. Whale blubber, bear fat, seal oil, and other animal fats are rubbed onto exposed skin, particularly the face, which often can't be fully covered without blocking vision. The oils fill the microscopic cracks in skin that normally let moisture and cold air penetrate, creating a smooth surface that wine slides over rather than cutting into. The layer of fat also slows heat loss from the skin, working much like the animal's own fat once did, to keep it warm in harsh conditions. Different tribes developed special mixtures for different conditions. Thicker greases for the coldest, driest days, and lighter oils for milder or more humid conditions. Many add aromatic plants like cedar, pine, or herbs that help circulation and prevent the unpleasant smell that can develop when oils sit on skin too long. Parents teach children to apply these protective layers before going outside, focusing especially on cheeks, ears, hands, and any other areas most vulnerable to frostbite. Some hunters and travellers carry small pouches of these oils to reapply throughout the day as they work up sweat, which can freeze dangerously if it soaks into clothing. This simple but effective technique has prevented countless cases of frostbite and hypothermia, allowing people to work outside even in temperatures far below freezing. 16. Ceremonial fires. Winter brings not just physical challenges, but spiritual ones too. Darkness, isolation, and the constant threat of death hover in the cold air. Indigenous communities respond with ceremonial fires that serve body and spirit at the same time. Unlike everyday cooking and heating fires, these special flames often burn much larger and hotter, bringing exceptional warmth to community gatherings. Built with specific woods, chosen for their spiritual properties as well as their burning qualities, these fires become the centre of winter ceremonies that strengthen community bonds and remind people that light and warmth will return. The extra heat from these larger than usual fires often provides a welcome break from the constant chill of winter living, allowing people to shed layers and fully warm their bodies in ways not possible with smaller daily fires. The timing of these ceremonial fires often connects to the rhythms of winter itself, marking the winter solstice, celebrating the lengthening days that follow, or honouring the spirits that help the community survive the harsh season. Many tribes build these fires in special locations that help reflect and amplify their heat, like stone-lined pits or carefully positioned shelters. The gathering of fuel for these important fires becomes a community activity itself, with everyone from children to elders participating according to their abilities. While the spiritual aspects vary widely between cultures, the practical benefit remains constant. 17. Daylight heat capture. The winter sun might look weak and feel distant, but Indigenous communities learn to harness every bit of its free warmth through clever daylight heat capture systems. Many winter dwellings feature openings or coverings that can be adjusted throughout the day to let sunlight stream in during peak hours. The light falls on heat-absorbing materials inside, dark stones, clay floors, or earth packed with charcoal that soaks up the sun's energy and holds it. Some homes position reflective surfaces like polished stone or water containers to bounce light deeper into living spaces. The southern side of structures often has more openings or thinner coverings that can be rolled up or removed during sunny periods, while northern walls remain thickly insulated year-round. As the sun begins to set, the entire system reverses. Openings are covered. Additional insulation like animal hides or woven mats might be hung over doorways and windows, and the structure transforms from a solar collector to a heat trap. The materials that absorb sunlight during the day now slowly release that warmth back into the living space through the evening and night. In some designs, sleeping platforms are positioned directly above or beside these heat-storing materials to take advantage of their radiant warmth. This daily ritual of opening and closing the dwelling becomes second nature, with everyone taking part in the process. On cloudy days when little solar heat can be captured, communities fall back on their other heating methods. But every bit of sunlight turned into stored heat means less precious firewood used and more chance of making it through until spring. 18. Sleeping off the ground. The cold earth steals body heat faster than cold air, a fact Indigenous people learned through hard experience over countless winters. Their solution was to create sleeping spaces that lift people away from direct contact with the ground. In its simplest form, this might be a thick layering of insulating materials, pine boughs, dried grasses, or bark. But many tribes developed more sophisticated raised platforms and bed frames. These structures, often built along the walls of winter dwellings, lift sleepers several inches to a foot above the ground. The space below allows air to circulate rather than letting the cold ground pull heat directly from bodies. Some designs include storage areas under these platforms where food and items that shouldn't freeze can benefit from the rising body heat of sleepers above. The platforms themselves become more than just beds. They are carefully engineered sleep systems. Many feature side walls that help trap the warmth rising from sleepers and prevent drafts from reaching people during the night. The sleeping surface often includes multiple layers, structural materials on the bottom, insulating materials in the middle, and soft, heat-reflecting furs or woven coverings on top, where people actually lie. In some cultures, these platforms connect to the dwelling's main heat source, with channels that direct warm air beneath or around the sleeping area. Family members often sleep close together on these raised surfaces, with the youngest children positioned in the warmest centre spots, and adults arranging themselves to block drafts from reaching the children. 19. Snow as insulator. In lands where winter brings deep snow, indigenous people discovered something that might seem backward at first. Snow itself can keep you warm. Rather than fighting against this cold, wet substance, many northern tribes learned to use snow's natural insulating properties to their advantage. Fresh snow contains tiny air pockets that work much like modern insulation, trapping heat and slowing its movement. A wall of packed snow around a shelter can maintain a temperature difference of tens of degrees between inside and outside. The most famous example is the igloo, where blocks of compressed snow create a dome that can maintain interior temperatures near freezing even when outside temperatures drop to 40 below. Not comfortable by modern standards, but the difference between life and death in Arctic conditions. Snow walls don't just block wind, they actively insulate. Many tribes build double wall systems where snow is packed between an outer and inner wall of a more permanent structure. Others dig into existing snowbanks to create emergency shelters or pile snow against the walls of their winter homes as the snow deepens through the season. In some regions, people intentionally build winter camps where snowdrifts will naturally form around their structures, working with the wind patterns to create natural snow insulation. The entrance areas to winter homes often include snow tunnels or barriers that prevent cold air from rushing in when someone enters or leaves. The silent, weighted presence of snow surrounding a winter home creates a peaceful buffer between harsh outdoor conditions and the protected space inside where life continues through the darkest months. 20. Wool and grass weaving. Not all winter warmth comes from animal skins and furs. Across many indigenous cultures, people develop sophisticated weaving techniques using plant fibres and animal wool to create clothing and home furnishings that trap warm air next to the body or within living spaces. Grasses, reeds, cattails and inner bark fibres are harvested in summer and fall, then dried and processed through beating, soaking or scraping to create pliable strands for weaving. These materials might seem too thin to provide much warmth individually, but when woven together, they create layers of trapped air that insulate surprisingly well. Some tribes developed special twisting and looping techniques that created especially thick, warm textiles perfect for winter use. Communities with access to wool-bearing animals like mountain goats, sheep or certain dogs developed methods to collect and process these fibres into warm garments. Unlike modern machine spinning, hand processing of wool often leaves more of the natural oils in place. Oils that help repel moisture and maintain insulating properties even in damp conditions. Woven blankets become treasured possessions passed through generations, with patterns that often tell family stories or mark important tribal connections. Woven mats serve multiple purposes in winter dwellings, covering dirt floors to provide insulation from the cold ground, hanging on walls to reduce drafts, or creating room dividers that help keep heat in smaller spaces where people gather. The act of weaving itself becomes an important winter activity, done indoors during the coldest days, and providing both practical necessities and a creative outlet during the long, dark season. If you've made it this far, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.